Hello again, Robin.
Hi, Lucas.
Hi. I think like it's a very nice opportunity today to talk about something that that's not very really talked about enough, and not very often in general. So
And it's not very fun to talk about, and it's not. And I wish it's something that we didn't need to talk about, but we do.
yeah, so I'm glad we have this opportunity as well because it's really important to talk about these things as well. So it has to do with some of the like with as with many things in life, the darker side of tango, and life is pretty messy. So that's why it's also your job as a teacher to warn people about this darker side. And I think it's also nice to like you have your students, but if this video also helps someone else out there, it's can be
Well, it's not literally my job. My job, when I what I'm paid to do, is to teach tango. But the thing is, I'm teaching tango to beginners, and I'm teaching tango to young people, to young women and young men. And the atmosphere, like for instance, if they learn at some university club, the atmosphere is very inclusive and respectful and generally safe. And then they go, for instance, to one of my milongas or to any milonga. And these usually older guys will see these younger women and understand right away that they're beginners. And these are guys who would be intimidated to invite some of the more advanced dancers, and they will invite beginners and they will dance with them and they will try to impress them with their really, really uh, ridiculous moves like dips and stuff like that. And often the beginner girls are impressed. And sometimes they'll actually do other things. Like sometimes they'll criticize them and say, "Oh, you don't know how to do a backward ocho," or "You need to do this," or "You need to do a gancho here. Don't you know what? How have you been taking lessons? Or you shouldn't be coming to a milonga if you don't know how to do this." Really outrageous things I've heard people tell me. And then also the creepy stuff where they will hold on to a young woman between songs, even between tandas. Like they'll literally hold on to her. And that I see people do that. My friends do that in the milongas. Sometimes they're really, really connected and they don't want to lose the connection. But those people know each other and they've been around a bit. And I think those leaders are sensitive to when it's okay with the other person. Now these beginner girls, they don't know they don't know if it's okay or not. They don't know that it's okay to say no. They don't know that this is not normal. And and I heard a story about some guy trying to kiss one of my Yale students. And so it's not my job to teach. It's my job is to teach tango. It's not my job to warn them about this. But I feel anything, if I feel any responsibility at all, then I need to talk to them. I want to talk to. I have to. I have to warn them about this, and I don't enjoy it, but I have to do it. So I have to tell them that it's absolutely not okay for somebody to make you feel uncomfortable, and that if you have any questions, if something is normal or not normal, if somebody did make you uncomfortable, don't keep it to yourself. Don't think that it's your fault. Um, the organizers should be really open to hearing about it. If not the organizers, they can talk to me. If not, if I'm not there, they should talk to their friends, talk to anybody. Just don't keep it inside themselves. Um, and I also have to talk to the young men. And well, it's not just young men. I just happen to teach at colleges, so I teach a lot of young people. This applies to people of any age. I have to tell them that tango is a great place to meet a romantic partner. And it's absolutely okay to meet a romantic partner in tango. However, you can't hit on somebody when they're in your arms because they can't get away without breaking a tanda. You can't ask somebody for their number while they're in your arms. You can't ask somebody out on a date while they're in your arms. Afterwards, after you dance with somebody, you really enjoy them, you talk to them a little bit, you can ask for their number, just like in any other public place, like a bar, anywhere else. But you can't do it when they're in your arms. And if they say no, you have to say, well, it was really nice meeting you, and be nice and move on. Or actually, you could still be friendly, but you can't keep on going in that direction. And it's really unfair whenever they're new. The girls have been in this for longer, know how to handle guys better, probably. I remember not that long ago, I mentioned already that one of my Yale students was at a milonga for the first time, probably the first time, and a guy tried to kiss her. And I knew this guy was a bit weird, a bit creepy, because he upset one of my friends a long time ago. So I asked her how the experience was of dancing with him, and she said that he had tried to kiss her. So I immediately went to the organizers. They're friends of mine in New York. They're called Adam and Chico, and they were amazing. They said, we will handle it. And they didn't need to talk to the girl. They just asked me to point out which guy it was. Then when the tanda was over, they got him, they brought him into another room, and they said, this is what we heard happened. And he was that's not what happened, and then he saw, and I was in the room too, and then he started like pointing his finger at me and saying that I'm very unwelcoming and snobby, and he likes them better than me because they're very friendly. And then Adam stood between him and I and said, this is not about him. We just want you to know that this is what we heard, and that sort of behavior we can't have here. Everybody has to feel safe. And he's like, yes, of course, I would never do anything like that. And it's very important that people feel good. But basically, he got the message, I hope. And so he knew that he was being watched. And I told the girl that this had happened, and the girl who was kissed, and she was so surprised that she didn't think that anybody was actually going to do anything about it. And it made me feel really good that she got to see that somebody would stand up for her. And it's also disappointing at the same time that she felt that nobody would have done anything about it. So, yeah, that's a sad. I guess it is. Now it's part of my job, I guess. Not literally part of my job, but I guess it's the sad part of my job. As a milonga organizer, a few weeks ago, another guy somehow made one of my students feel uncomfortable. I don't remember exactly what he said, just a lot of personal questions and trying to talk to her and ignoring her signs from her that she wasn't interested in talking to him or dancing with him more. And it's my student actually left and didn't tell me about it, but luckily one of the other students who she had confided in told me. So I noticed that this guy had moved on to some other girl, and he was sitting next to her and dancing with her and talking to her all night. So I went over and I said hi to them, and I just kind of like sat there. He kind of joined their conversation, just assessed if she was happy to be talking to him or not, and she actually seemed happy to be talking to him. There was no way for me to interject and say, be careful, this guy upset one of my other students. There was no way to do that. And I have to recognize that actually maybe she really enjoyed his company. But I did watch them a lot, and I did notice when he was leaving, and I made sure that that they were leaving separately. And that sounds very like I'm really policing, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want something bad to happen. I just wanted to make sure that everything was consensual. Anything is okay. Anybody can do what they want. I just want to make sure that everybody is okay with it. And then I did tell the guy, I said, somebody had told me that you've been acting kind of drunk. And I told him that I wanted him to be careful about how his actions could be perceived. So I couldn't tell him, you did this, because I don't know that he did whatever. But I could tell him that other people were perceiving it in a particular way, and that it's up to him how he wants to be perceived.
Yeah, it sounds like a situation where there's more of a fine line between what might be wrong behavior. I mean, kissing someone is pretty obviously something that nobody is going to appreciate, without what you said, like without permission. But it can also be more subtle, and then it's hard for you to recognize when something's actually creepy, right?
I mean, kissing somebody's not bad. I want to be kissed. I love being kissed. If somebody would kiss me every day, it'd be great. But yeah, consensual consent.
Yeah.
That's the key. They only like the just what recently happened in the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, with the Spanish coach.
Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, I used to have a long time ago, I used to have classes at Columbia University, and they were open to the public. And we had a bunch of guys. This happens a lot with beginner classes, that you will often have older guys who've been dancing for a long time take beginner classes, and they're not there to learn. They're there to hold young bodies next to them. And they're not really listening to what I say. And then as soon as the music starts, you can see them dancing with somebody and instructing them, telling them what they should do. So they really like this power dynamic where they can tell someone who I'm assuming they desire, tell them what to do. So my solution to that was to start teaching everybody to do both roles. So that at least half of the time they would have to shut up and follow these women. And I thought it was a great idea, but unfortunately, the followers, the people who identified as women in the class, often hated it. They're like, I did not come here to lead some awful big guy. I want to follow. That's what I signed on to. There are women, there are quite a few women who do want to lead, but the majority did not. And we were hemorrhaging followers. Like classes were becoming all leaders, all guys. And that was not.
Well, at least that filters out the creepy guys looking for girls, but
It
not
did.
in a way that's actually effective.
It just filtered out all the creepy guys and a lot of girls. And so we've gone back to we've gone back to people signing up for the classes as leaders or followers. And we tell people we're happy if they do both roles, but in the class, we'd prefer them to do one role. And usually it ends up normally being the kind of heteronormative way with men leading and women following. But what has happened since the pandemic is the university stopped letting people from the outside community come into the classes, or at least not come in without special permission. And that was really interesting, because what used to happen at the colleges is there was a lot of people from the local community who could be any age. They could be in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. And they're taking these classes that are officially for college students. And people would tell me it's great to have community members because they create stability, and the students are only there for a couple of years and then they disappear. But these people are there for years and years and years. But the reality is that when the pandemic resulted in only students being able to take classes, the classes exploded. They got so much more popular. It's absolutely normal that people in their 20s want to dance with people in their 20s. It's, I remember whenever I was a beginner, there were very few people under 40 in the New York Tango scene, and we danced with everybody. And there was something really beautiful about that. And probably most of the very good followers around right now, when they started, they probably experienced the same thing. They probably ended up dancing with people who were much older than them. But that's not normal. I mean, it's kind of sad for me. I'm 58. I would love it if like people in their 20s just wanted to dance with 58-year-olds. But it's absolutely normal that they would want to dance with more people of their own age. And so that actually made the classes grow when they filtered out older people. Now, creepiness is not isolated in older people. Like the young guys can be creepy, stalker, all of that stuff. And yes, we have to like tell them, don't be that guy.
But at least they don't have this weird power advantage that the
Yes.
yeah.
And they're also, a similar level. Yeah, they haven't been dancing for a decade,
Yeah. So essentially what you do during the lessons now is you include this in some kind of curriculum that you want to instruct.
It's not as organized as that, but like we don't tell them the first day. We don't tell them the second or the third day. End of the semester, whenever they're just about to go to milonga, or if we know that they're making plans to go to milonga, then we will tell them. And sometimes we'll actually sit down and talk about cabeceo, etiquette, all those other things as well.
Yeah. Well, it's the least you can do, right? Like it's any woman that feels warned about this, girl that feels warned about this, I mean that's an advantage, because we all know that there are these predator dancers out there. So yes, it's not really like very cheerful topic, but it would be good if, like, I'm not sure to what extent organizers in general are aware of this, but at least you seem to be. So as an organizer, so that's a good thing, I would say.
I'll tell you something that we haven't done in my milonga, and which I want to do, and I don't know why we haven't done it already. But I know that in the swing community in New York City, they're much better about this. They have like a code of conduct or suggestions, guidelines for what is appropriate or inappropriate behavior. Just making sure that if somebody feels unsafe, what should they do about it? If somebody feels unsafe, uncomfortable, they should talk to the organizer. They should know that that's what they should do and not keep it into themselves and not think that they did something wrong. Well, they might have done something wrong. We can talk about that.
Yeah. So some of this behavior is also it's less easy to define as creepy or as problematic, and sometimes they don't even realize, like
Absolutely. And so then how do you handle that? You tell somebody this could be perceived as creepy. You can even, you want to be like tricky, you can say, I know that you are not this way. I know that you would never do this, but I know that you would never want to be perceived this way. Because you can't, unless you have some kind of evidence, you can't necessarily tell someone you did this, because you don't know their intentions and you don't actually know exactly what happened, but you can say this could be perceived in this way, and I know that you would care, and I think that you would care about that.
yes. So for some people that might work, like some of these guys are really doing it on purpose, but others may just be awkward
Yeah,
and not realize, you know.
and also some of them might not care what I say, and they might not care how they're perceived, and they're the ones that you really need to watch out for. We haven't really banned anybody, but I think that, you know, that's a thing. You know, that could be something that you would need to do.
Yes, I know a story like that from the past, and it solved some problems. So I guess in as a kind of ultimate measure, it can be done. But I think what's very important is like the preventive aspect of, like, it's like setting these boundaries, right? And
Yeah, my partner's a little bit better. Like, she's telling women, don't let it get to that point, you know, like set, you know, tell if somebody is making uncomfortable, just tell them, or just excuse yourself. Whatever you need to do. Hopefully, like, where they get to the point where they haven't been, where they get to, so they don't get to the point where they, you know, need to talk to the organizer. Well, maybe they still need to talk to an organizer, but
yes, well, I think you're doing a great job with this, and I hope that at least some organizer or teacher who watched this video, well, a lot of them probably kind of know what this is, but maybe if at least someone realized how important it is to instruct these beginner women, because of especially because of this power imbalance. I think that will be very helpful, and I also like that there's going to be a video like this on the internet, because I don't think I've ever seen this before, and sometimes for men it's also difficult to understand that they're being creepy. I mean, like the real bad guy, so to say, you know.
I'm sure that like 80% of them think that their behavior is fine.
Yeah, very sad. Yeah, but yeah, that's a human nature thing. Probably not going to fix that, but it's at least important that like this, what I said, like I'm looking for like deterrence, right? Like if you can deter people from,
Yeah.
that's important, and yeah, they're doing a good job with that in the swing community apparently. So nice to interesting to hear. Well, thank you for your words today, and